Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to sell Nice to fund a full takeover of Manchester United. Enzo Kana-Biyik signs for United with two more young strikers also linked. Madrid want United to buy Álvaro Carreras, and United are close to a verbal agreement for Matheus Cunha and a link with Florian Wirtz, and Atletico Madrid make inquiries about Antony. This is all your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Welcome to the channel. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video and let's jump straight into it. So firstly, get in the comments, give us your thoughts and feelings on that last night. Wow, is all I'm going to say. I was sat here all day yesterday, absolutely barricking myself, not obviously expecting, not knowing what to expect from the game because of the season that we're having, the inconsistencies, and you just never know which United are going to turn up. And for the first 20 minutes, I was thinking, oh, is this United that's going to turn up? But then to come away with a 3-0 away victory in the semi-final of the Europa League, outstanding. I've kind of felt in the end. Yes, we got a little bit of fortune with the penalty and the sending off that obviously made a massive difference. But we rode our luck for that first 20 minutes, and what an absolutely excellent result. And total performance as well. I felt after that, because even in the second half, you know, to sit there when you're kind of thinking, I'm annoyed we didn't score 4 in the semi-final of Europa League is absolute madness. So I would have taken beforehand, I would have snapped anybody's hand off for a 3-0. Like if you said to me yesterday morning when I was recording yesterday's video, are United are going to win 3-0 and it's going to be, you know, barring a 20-minute kind of, you know, wobble at the start, it's going to be a fairly easy night as well. I would have absolutely taken anybody's hand off for that as well. So I'm absolutely buzzing about it. Get involved in the comments. Let me know what you think as well. You know, I was speaking to my dad before the game, and I kind of, we were saying like, oh, this is going to be a really long, really difficult night. You know, it's going to be an uncomfortable watch. And like I said, for the first 20 minutes, it kind of was, you know, thought Ugarte, Dorgu, Lindelof, all very sloppy on the ball. And let's be fair, we should have and probably could have been 1-0 down at that point. I thought Onana made a good save. Williams obviously missed his kind of header that maybe he should have done better from, and Lindelof, you know, blocks one effectively on the line, and we were under the cosh. But then after that, you know, fair play to the players, absolute fair play to them as well. I thought it was an excellent performance, you know, and I kind of felt that some of the players deserve a lot of plaudits as well. And it's ironic that the three kind of players for me, the three experienced players, Harry Maguire, Casemiro and Bruno, were the ones that kind of pulled together and got us through that kind of game and got us the result as well. Shout out to Ugarte, he turned his form around as well. He was absolutely terrible first 20 minutes. I'm thinking there's going to be a Xerxes going on here and he's going to have to bring him off and bring Mainu on. He was that kind of bad for that first kind of period. Ends up with 2 assists, but then also I think he's the massive contributor in the penalty as well, because he's the one that wins the ball, that creates that kind of opportunity for Garnacho when he plays in Mazraoui and kind of sends it across. And that was all because of Ugarte's work rate and tenacity to win the ball back as well. So I think he had a big hand in all 3 goals as well. And from where he was for the first 20 minutes, you know, for him to turn around his performance as well. But overall, you know, yeah, you've got to be happy with that. Surely no one's going to moan in the comments about that kind of result. And if you do, then, you know, this is the part of the season, right, where performances don't matter. It's about results, and that's all it means. We need to win 3 more games this season, which is, in fact, we don't even need to win 3. We can lose 2-0 at home, and then get through to the final, and then that's the kind of game. And it isn't about performances for me; it's about results. And that was an outstanding result last night. But I felt we got a performance with it as well after that kind of shaky start. And then the second half, I thought really controlled as well, really controlled performance. So, and what about this guy? There's some funny posts going around. Harry Maguire, fair play, you know, channeled his inner Ronaldinho for setting up that first goal as well. Like, who would have thought? Like, is he our best attacker? Arguably, he could be our best attacker right now, Maguire. But yeah, I thought he had an obviously, you know, a massive hand in the kind of victory as well. I've seen this photo doing the rounds online as well. This one was posted by Amad Diallo, and then this one from Andre Onana as well. Hilarious. But shout out to Harry Maguire. Deserved the kind of plaudits, because if there's ever like an example of somebody turning their career around at United, then Maguire's the example. Written off, you know, belated by some of the fans and stuff as well. I've always thought he's been a good defender personally. And, he's coming round and ultimately might be the catalyst in us winning this frickin' Europa League because of his obviously last minute winner against Lyon. But he's done it, he even got the header for against Porto when we were 3-2 down after being 2-0 up, got the late equaliser there. So he's having a massive hand in our season in the Europa League run as well. So shout out to Harry Maguire as well. And like I said, Bruno Fernandes I thought was excellent. 73 touches, 45 passes completed, 7 duels won, 5 accurate crosses, 4 shots, 3 tackles, 3 chances created and 2 goals. Insane to me, the numbers that Bruno Fernandes keeps consistently putting through. Yes, he is frustrating, with his, sometimes he blames others for his bad passes and stuff, right? But you shouldn't take anything away from Bruno. He is a fantastic player. In my opinion, it's been by far the best signing we've made post Sir Alex Ferguson, and a massive influence on us as well. So shout out to Bruno Fernandes, and credit to Casemiro as well for turning his kind of form around towards the end of the season as well. Pretty much effectively written off, not just by me personally. I've kind of been very critical of Casemiro this season. And in some cases, rightly so, for the performances he's been putting in at the start of the season, dropped by Amorim and not fancied by Amorim as well. But then turning the season around, there's something about European football in Casemiro where that experience, they say form is temporary, class is permanent, and he shows his class in the big occasions as well, and was a massive, again, I thought those 3 players, Maguire, Casemiro and Bruno, outstanding performances between the 3 of those as well to kind of pull together, drag the team kind of through that kind of shaky 20 minutes. And then also, to control it in the second half as well and not be daft, not be stupid, because we saw against Lyon, even when we were 2-0 up and cruising against 10 men, we have a moment in us where we can just completely fold, and they completely shut all of that down for the second half as well. So shout out to Casemiro, 106 touches, 100% aerial duels won, so we won 5 out of 5 aerials, 72 passes completed, 4 clearances, 4 tackles, 3 tackles won, 1 goal. Insane from Casemiro as well, so shout out to him. And I always think we're kind of quite, a lot of people are quite quick to jump on the negative stats when they come out, so I just wanted to share a couple of the positive ones. So Manchester United scored 3 goals in the first half of a European knockout stage match for the first time since the European Cup quarter-final against Benfica in 1965 to 1966. So for those who will just say, oh, well, they were down to 10 men and it's just the Europa League and stuff. Well, if it's just the Europa League, we've never done it since 1966 and the 65-66 season. So it's not, it is, I think, one of these kind of results that hopefully if we go on and win, we'll look back on and say, well, what a mad result that was to go and get a 3-0 away victory to a team that's believed to be the favourites in their own back garden where the final's going to be played as well. So it gives them a bit of an extra incentive as well to go and do that. I think is massive positive for and I'm taking all the positives I can at the moment, because this season has been absolute turd. So I am grabbing hold of every little tiny bit of positivity at the moment. And Ruben Amorim's the first Manchester United manager to remain unbeaten in his first 9 European matches since Sir Alex Ferguson in 1991, who went 11. So hopefully Amorim can match that record, because if we go unbeaten for 11 games, that means we win it. But, we do still need to play, stay a little bit grounded, because there's still a job to be done. And we've seen with this team, they are capable of turning it on and off like a tap. Let's just hope that the kind of fact that we have got 1 foot in the final, the fact that we technically could lose 2-1 or 3-1 and still go through, maybe will take a little bit of the pressure off the players. And obviously we're at home as well. Bilbao have got things to play for in the league. We're going to totally rest all of our players, I imagine, for the game against Brentford on Sunday. Ruben Amorim's already said, look, Dorgu needs a rest, Mazraoui needs a rest. We might have some players that we can give minutes to, like Mount. But it is going to be a heavily, heavily rotated team against Brentford, which is not going to be, a comfortable watch. But actually, I'd rather see some of the young players. Sekou Kone might get some minutes. We might see Cheeto get some minutes as well. So actually, I'm cool with that to rest the players, because next week's obviously massively important for us as well. And Ruben Amorim is staying a bit grounded as well, saying at the beginning you could feel that players like Ugarte with a lot of experience and Patrick Dorgu were a little nervous. Players like Casemiro, Harry Maguire and Bruno Fernandes are helping us a lot as well. So so Ruben Amorim kind of, saying, acknowledging the fact that for the first 20 minutes, it was really rough, wasn't it? It was kind of hard to watch us giving the ball away all the time, and we were kind of architects of our own downfall. But, switched it around, come out with the victory. I'm buzzing about it. Get involved in the comments. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. So let's go through the latest news. So Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to sell OGC Nice to finance a full takeover of Manchester United. Saudi Arabia are looking to buy Nice. Now, that's came from a French outlet. I don't know the credibility personally, but it's been reposted by some aggregator accounts suggesting that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is looking to sell Nice to finance the full takeover of Manchester United. Now, I would want to wait and see a little bit more credibility regarding that story, because that's massive news if that's to be believed. And if I remember rightly, when the whole kind of sale and INEOS and everything like that, it was business outlets like Reuters and places like that were kind of leading with the stories regarding it, because it's a business kind of move rather than not necessarily football, like Fabrizio Romano's and football kind of transfer journalists as well. But I have no idea whether they're good when it comes to these sort of stories or bad when it comes to these sort of stories as well. But that would be absolutely insane for me. Anything to get the Glazers gone. Any news around that, in my opinion, is good news. So I really hope that kind of leads to something and we do get some more credibility regarding it, or something where actually, another news outlet comes out and kind of suggests that, this is kind of possible. However, the Athletic have kind of confirmed it as well. Well, not necessarily the takeover, but that Sir Jim might be looking to sell Nice. So Sir Jim Ratcliffe is exploring the sale of French side Nice. New York-based investment bank Lazard has been tasked with finding a buyer for the League One side and is looking for a price of 250 million. Any potential sale of Nice is complicated by the uncertainty surrounding the League One broadcast deal. So, this could be something to kind of pay attention to and would be massively exciting. Whether Sir Jim is just looking to sell Nice, because of the complications around the multi-club ownership, whether he's just decided actually I want to put all my eggs in Man United's basket, or whether there is something where, potentially he's looking to sell up because he wants the capital available to go and buy Man United off the Glazers. I mean, that would be insane if that's true. Like, anything to get the Glazers gone, I'm all over it, and I would be massively excited about. And let's be fair, Sir Jim's not getting any younger. Maybe he does just want to leave a legacy at United, because I've heard a lot of stories around he's just in it for money and stuff. He's a multi-billionaire who's nearly 80 years old. How much money do you think he wants to earn at his stage in his life? Like, it just seems a bit daft to me that if you're a multi-billionaire and you're coming towards the end of your life, maybe he just wants to leave a bit of a legacy. Maybe he wants to leave something behind that isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet and sat in a bank account somewhere, or shares on a company kind of stock market and stuff. Maybe he does want to be the one that actually rebuilt Man United, and not just rebuilt the club, but also rebuilt the stadium and kind of did that. Maybe it's a legacy thing for Sir Jim, and that would be massively exciting for me as well. So that's one that's from last night. I was kind of reading the report from the kind of outlet, kind of thinking, well, I'd want to see a bit more credibility personally, and then for the Athletic to come out kind of saying that actually, look, he is looking to sell Nice. Whether he's looking to sell Nice to fund a full takeover of Man United, God, I hope so, but we'll have to kind of wait and see. But that's interesting, and definitely a story to kind of pay attention to. So give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Now, Manchester United have it's not been officially announced yet, but have effectively signed a player. So Enzo Kana-Biyik has successfully completed his medical and officially signed his Manchester United contract today. That was yesterday before the game came from Sully Talks, who's been really reliable recently regarding things like this and signings and youth players' injuries and all that kind of stuff. And then Christopher Michael said the same thing, said Enzo Kana-Biyik has signed his Manchester United contract till 2030 with the option for a further year. United beat off competition from PSG, Chelsea and Monaco. PSG particularly wanted him, but he has said yes to United. And then Fabrizio Romano has confirmed Christopher Michael's story as well, saying that Manchester United have agreed a deal to sign talented 18-year-old Enzo Kana-Biyik from Le Havre as planned. Kana-Biyik is set to sign documents soon. Then deal will be announced as one more signing for the future. Contract till 2030 plus option, as Christopher Michael reports. So United have got that kind of deal done. We're just effectively waiting for the official announcement, really. Massively excited. Is seen as a very, very talented young player. Again, not one I've done a lot of research because there is not a lot of data kind of available for him, but he's seen as another one for the future. The rumour is that he'll sign for United, maybe go to Lausanne on loan in the transfer window, and then obviously see how he kind of develops and progresses from there as well. But it's just a sign that United are, going down the right road, in my opinion, getting these young kind of promising players in, having a pipeline of players that you can either develop, and if they develop, brilliant, then you've got good players coming in from the youth to help supplement the first team. Or if they don't develop, because you've got them on a free transfer and you sell them for a couple of million quid, that's just pure profit from PSR rules, and that's the rules, and that's the game we've got to play. We've just been very bad at doing that recently, so I'm all for United going for these sort of players. But another one that we have been linked with as well, that's not the only one. So Newcastle, Aston Villa, Manchester United, among the clubs in the mix to sign 18-year-old Christian Kafane from the Segunda Division side. The player has a release clause which stands at just €5 million. So that came from Sport Witness. Again, he's another young 18-year-old striker that they're kind of looking to potentially bring in. And that's not the only one. So Manchester United, Chelsea and Liverpool have all shown interest in Blackburn Rovers talent Igor Tejon. Man United have submitted a bid between 800,000 to 1.2 million. Personal terms unlikely to be an issue as Igor is open to the move. Now that came from a Blackburn Rovers kind of aggregator account. Again, don't know the credibility, but suggesting that United have submitted a bid for Igor Tejon. Tyjon. I'm going to go with Tejon. Let me know if I'm mispronouncing that in the comments, as I'm sure you will. But that's just a sign of intent for me that United are going to, this is the route we're going down. I'm massively excited about it. I think it's absolutely the right thing to be doing. It's the thing we should have been doing anyway, is getting these young players in, developing them, and either selling them for profit if they don't quite make it, or you've got options in the first team. Look how bad we are look how desperate we are for strikers at the moment, because of the injuries that we've got, and we don't really have that many youth players coming through of that kind of level that we can put in. So if you've got options, that's how Rashford made his career. He got the opportunity because he was available at the club and we had a massive injury crisis, and then Rashford comes through. Not that he wouldn't have necessarily made it anyway, but not at that particular moment. He was accelerated because the circumstances arose that gave him the opportunity, and he took it, and that's a fair play. And you might get some of that with these youngsters as well, or you might get some that don't quite make it. But if you can sell them for a few million quid in profit, then brilliant. But let me know what you think about those in the comments. Now, that obviously has a lot to do with Christopher Vivell. So Vivell's initial interim status at United has now been confirmed as permanent. And the same is expected to happen with Sam Erif, the performance director appointed in September. So Laurie Whitwell saying now Christopher Vivell's interim status is finished and he's been confirmed on the permanent basis as well, which is massively exciting because he's responsible for those sort of players. That's what he's about. He's got a network of people around the world that he uses to kind of go and get these sort of players, or be made aware of them at young ages, so we can kind of bring them in, and that's massively excited that we've got him on a permanent basis as well to help us finally, hopefully anyway, get the freaking recruitment right, because that's what's been one of our biggest downfalls over the last few years, is the recruitment's just been amateur at best sometimes. But then he's not the only appointment that we've made. So Laurie Whitwell also said that Michael Sansoni will start work at Manchester United this week, heading up the club's data department. Sansoni has arrived at the club after leaving his position as senior performance simulator engineer for the Mercedes Formula One team. So this was broken a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, to say that United are looking to bring in this guy as a data engineer to help. Obviously, we know Sir Jim Ratcliffe is big on the data. We know that he's been critical, saying we don't really have a data department and we're having to kind of rebuild one. And obviously, this is the step in the direction to getting that done, which hopefully in turn with the likes of Vivell and Jason Wilcox and staff will hopefully get us better at freaking recruiting players and signing the right players, because it's not about money and names and stuff. Is this player the right profile for that particular position? What's his skill set? What does the data kind of say? And all of these things is what we need to get better at and smarter at, and hopefully this is the kind of the start of thing, the sign of things to come, where we are going to start getting better at doing that, because we need to be better. That's what's kind of caused a lot of our problems is recruiting the wrong sort of players for the wrong sort of fees, and we're giving them the wrong sort of contracts. But give us your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. Now, let's move on to some other news. So Manchester United are keeping an eye on Florian Wirtz. Now, that came from a fairly decent Spanish outlet and Spanish journalist, actually, suggesting that we are, keeping an eye on Florian Wirtz. But I'd imagine we're keeping an eye on a lot of players. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get them. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're, in contract negotiations or we're looking to make offers. Florian Wirtz is going to be massively, massively expensive. I think Bayern Munich want him. Roma City want him as well as potentially a replacement for Kevin De Bruyne. So, there's going to be competition for Florian Wirtz. Whether we would have the budget available to go and do that would obviously depend on Champions League and the player sales. Probably would he choose to come to us over the other teams that are likely to be interested in Wirtz? I would question mark that, but, yeah, I'm sure we are keeping an eye on Florian Wirtz, but I'm sure we're keeping an eye on a lot of players as well. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be going for them and stuff, but he would be, I'd take him in a heartbeat. I think he's an excellent player, would fit the kind of system and stuff as well, but I'd want to see a bit more credibility, or a little bit a little bit more credibility regarding that personally. But give us your thoughts on Florian Wirtz in the comments. Now, let's go through the Cunha later. So Cunha said that Manchester United are close to a verbal agreement with Wolves forward Matheus Cunha after offering him a big money contract. Man United have offered Cunha a contract double the wages he currently earns at Wolves. Now, Cunha, I'm yet to still be convinced by. I think he's a little bit kind of hit and miss. But, we do know that this kind of deal is one that's, quite far down the line. We're just waiting for the kind of, the agreements to be done. I think they're in talks and meetings, and, there's no smoke without fire regarding Matheus Cunha. Interestingly, though, Fabrizio Romano retweeted the following tweet. Now, he normally does that if, he's hearing information that this is kind of developing, but he can't quite say anything yet, or it's not quite done, where he said a couple of days ago that Manchester United are leading the race to sign Matheus Cunha from Wolves as negotiations are ongoing. Personal terms are being discussed as Man United are aware of more clubs clean plus £62 million release clause available. Good feeling after initial contacts between Cunha and Man United. So he's retweeted that, which normally suggests that something's kind of going on behind the scenes. So that one is looking likely, like that one that's kind of developing along. There was rumours that Mendes is getting involved as well in the deal. So that should, that's a good sign, because obviously Mendes is linked with Wolves and obviously, involved. He's the biggest kind of football agent in the world. So yeah, he's going to get involved in that as well. So that is, again, one that's ticking along nicely. But we'll need to bring you updates when anything develops. Now, this was a really interesting story. So Real Madrid plan to use Manchester United as a bridge to sign Alvaro Carreras. Benfica wants €60 million for him, but Madrid want United to activate their €18 million buyback clause and then immediately sell Carreras to them for 30 to 35 million euros. Now, that came from AS. I mean, can we even do that? Is that even allowed, that we buy? So effectively what they're saying is if Real Madrid want Carreras or want Alvaro, then Benfica are going to charge them 60 million euros. But what Real Madrid are asking United to do is say, yeah, look, can you buy him back for 18 and then we'll buy him off you for 30. So you effectively make, 10 to 15 million quid on the profit. And they also save 10 to 15 million quid on the asking price that Benfica want as well. I don't know if you could do that, but if we did, that would be a bit of a boost to our transfer budget in the summer. I'm not sure if it's plausible or if it's doable or not. Benfica might just eventually end up lowering their asking price so that they get the money for him as well. That could be negotiation tactics from Real Madrid as well, but AS are a decent Spanish kind of source or news outlet. So, that's one that would be really interesting. Like I said, I'm not sure if that's even allowed, but could be a way for United to get a few extra kind of quid. I mean, some of you might say, let's just buy him back and keep him anyway, because and I wouldn't be necessarily dead against doing that neither as well. The more options and competition we have, the better. But let's wait and see. Let's see how that kind of plays out. But give us your thoughts in the comments below. And then the final story I've got for you is regarding Antony. So Atletico Madrid have inquired about Antony. Manchester United would be willing to sell him for 40 to 50 million euros. you know, he's doing really well at Real Betis, and he scored a banger last night as well against De Gea. If you haven't seen it, right-footed kind of, you know, rocket from the edge of the penalty area. Even De Gea posted and said, I've trained 1,000 times on that, and he's never scored with his right foot before, and shows what confidence and stuff can do for you. And he's, you know, is this mad that because they might, let's say Antony wins the Conference League with Real Betis and we win the Europa League, he'd end up with 2 medals. Is that right? Which is insane, isn't it? That he could end up with a Conference League medal and a Europa League medal, because obviously he did play for us in the Europa League at the start of the season as well. That could be an insane turnaround for Antony's career, which was literally down the toilet at United, because that's how brilliant his performances were. But, you know, fair play to him for turning his career and stuff and that around. And, you know, sometimes you are just you know, better off in different leagues, and that's it. That's you know, sometimes it's not, you don't need to overcomplicate things as that. The Premier League's a lot more physically demanding and a lot more kind of fast paced and stuff, and the league is not. And, you know, he's you know, doing really well over there. So fair play to him. And if we can get a few quid for him and not make a PSR loss and then actually make some profit off of Antony as well, then fair enough. So the more people we have or teams we have interested in him, then the better. And actually, I think he'd fit Atletico, because he is a work hard. So he does work hard, Antony. You can't question the fact that he's a grafter on the pitch as well. Got a little bit about him, you know. So I actually think he would maybe suit Atletico personally. But keep an eye on it for you. Give us your thoughts in the comments below. Give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.